Okay, so we're here with another video, and in this video we're going to be going over some more racial and prop Euclidean questions. So let's get into it. 8.2. In triangle ABC in the diagram, K is a point on AB such that AK to KB is 3 to 2, and M are points on AC such that KN is parallel to BM. BM intersects KC at all. And then, by the way, guys, this was a little typo. They meant to say AM AM to MC is 10 to 3, so 10 to 23. So before we begin, we first want to go back and label each and every single part of our triangle. They told us that AK to KB is 3 to 2, but here is a little catch that I want you guys to remember. When you are working through, if you are dealing with questions like this Euclidean ratio and prop, it looks like there are several different triangles in one triangle with parallel lines, and they haven't given you the units of those lines. They've instead given you the ratios. You need to put an unknown variable next to the ratio that they've given you. So 3 to 2, remember guys, your ratio is not the actual length of those lines. The ratio just tells you, it gives you an idea on how much a line has been divided. Okay, so AK makes up 3 parts of the line, and then KB makes up 2 parts of the line. All right, so let's look at AK. I'm going to label that as 3 3A, and then I'm gonna label that as 2A, just a random variable. Okay. Actually, no, let's label that as let's actually label that as Y. AM to MC is 10 to 23. Same thing. They've given us the ratio. The ratio just gives us an idea of how much a line has been divided. So AM makes up 10 parts of the line. AM makes up 10 parts of the line, which is 10x. And then MC makes up 23 parts of the line, so you can label that as 23x. Please remember that each and every single ratio that makes a part of the shape specifically, they need to have different unknown variables next to them. Okay, so AK to KB's ratio was 3 to 2, so I placed a little y next to it, okay, because that's one ratio. And then a different ratio was AM to MC. Since that's a different ratio, we want to label that as x instead. 10x to 23x. This is just a little hack and trick. Please make sure to use this. It is going to completely change the difficulty of these questions. It's not difficult at all. Make sure you just follow these steps. So then, before we begin, we just want to go back and interpret this diagram. We want to see what's going on. Alright, so we have parallel lines. So we have KN. KN is parallel to BM. Please make sure you read your question carefully. It's not KN is not parallel to RM. KN is parallel to BM. But before we even continue with that, this is so important to remember, guys. Since KN is parallel to the entire line of BM, KN will also be parallel to RM. Okay, if one line is parallel to a line segment, but that line segment is made up of other line segments, then that line segment is going to be parallel to that other line. So in this case, KN is parallel to BM, but BM is a line that consists of RM as well. So KN will also be parallel to RM. So that's important to remember. Right. So now, okay, so let's see if the prop theorem is actually applicable to this specific question. So if you have a triangle, and within this triangle you have 2 parallel lines, okay, and it has to be in this position, those 2 parallel lines divide that triangle in proportion. So over here, in this specific question, we can see that KN is parallel to BM. Now, please remember that since KN is parallel to BM, KN will also be parallel to RM. Why is that? Because since KN is parallel to BM, and since RM is a part of BM, it makes up a part of the BM line segment, KN will also be a part of RM because RM is a part of BM. Right. So now, let's go back and actually identify the different triangles that are in this diagram. Okay. So we have triangle K. You can clearly see we have triangle KC, KCA. KCA. That's one triangle, KCA. Right. So we can clearly see that in triangle KCA, we have two parallel lines, and those two parallel lines divides the sides of the triangle in proportion, right? So let's look at KL. KL and LC makes up one side of the triangle. KL is in proportion to NM. Okay, and we also have LC. LC is in proportion to MC. Sorry, that's an N, guys. N, that's an M. Okay, so now what do we do? What we want to go back and do is we just want to go back and label it. But this is so important to remember, guys. I spoke about how you have to add like an unknown variable to the different sides with their proportions. Over there we added x, and over there we added y. So what you have to do is, in this case, since we know that LC is in proportion to MC, we're not going to add a different unknown variable, because that is not, it's not like in the segment above, they did not originally tell us what its ratio was, what the line segment's ratio was. Okay, so we're just going to leave that as 23x. LC is going to, we're just going to label that as 23x. Okay, and then what about KL? KL would be in proportion to NM, but we have no idea what NM is, guys. Remember, we know what AM is. AM is 10x, but we have no idea what NM is, so we're just going to leave that out. Right, so now let's go back and identify another triangle that is in our diagram here, right? So we also have triangle AMB. Okay, let's go back. So we labeled this as 23x. Okay, we labeled that as 23x. So now we're looking at triangle ABM. So let's just go back and identify that ABM. Okay, so now we're looking at triangle ABM. We have two parallel lines. We have line BM. BM is parallel to KM. So it does look very similar to a triangle that's being divided in proportion due to its parallel lines. Okay, so you can just see, if you just tilt your head a little bit, if you look at it from a different angle, then you're going to see that it kind of looks like that. Okay, it kind of looks like that, right? So what does that mean? AK, if you follow the parallel lines, guys, AK, one side of the triangle would be AK and KB, and the other side of the triangle would be AN and NM. Now, AK is in proportion to AN, so I'm just going to quickly label that as, I'm going to quickly label AN as 3y. Okay, 3y. And then KL is in proportion to, not KL, sorry, KB is in proportion to NM. So I'm going to label this part as 2y. Okay. So let me just erase that. What is AN? We have to determine with reasons the ratio of AN over AM. AN over AM. So first and foremost, do we have a ratio variable for AN? Okay, so remember, guys, we already said that AN is in proportion to AK, but here's the little trick. You cannot just say, you can't just write it down and say AN equals to 3. No. When you are dealing with ratio, what does a ratio mean? It always has to be in a fraction form, or it can be written like this. Okay, so you need to write it as a pair. So let's identify AN. You know that AN is in proportion to AK, which is 3y. That's why I've written down 3y over there. And then AM, what about AM? AM is in proportion to AB, the entire AB. Guys, just quickly, I want you to quickly pay attention to this triangle. AMB. AN is in proportion to AK. AM is in proportion to AB. What is AB? AB is 3y plus 2y, which is 5y. So for that reason, you're going to say AN equals to the 3y, and then AM is equal to the AB. But you first have to state the two lines that it's in proportion to. AN over NM is in proportion to AK over KB. So you just want to quickly write that down, and please use the correct rule. So you can either write down line parallel to one side of triangle. What does that mean? Line parallel to one side of triangle is basically another rule that you can use to validate your answer. If you don't want to write down your prop theorem, that's the exact same thing as your prop theorem. Line parallel to one side of the triangle. Or you can use your prop theorem. You could just write down your prop theorem, but please remember, if you want to get marks for writing down your prop theorem as a reason, you need to state which two lines are parallel to each other. So KN, The reason why those two sides are are in proportion to AK over KB is because of the parallel lines of KN and BM. So you're gonna write down it's because KN is parallel to BM. Now, what are the values for AK again? Remember, we've labeled AK as 3y and we've labeled and we've labeled AB as 5y because up to 3y plus 2y is 5y, right? So then you're going to place this into its ratio form. The y's are going to cancel out, giving you 3 over 5. Then for the next question, 8.2.2, you have to determine with the reasons the ratio of CL over LK. Okay, so where's CL? CL would be right over here. CL over KL. Okay. What is the very first thing that we have to do? Let's first write down CL over LK. Do we know what the ratio of CL is equal to? Yes, we do. CL is 23x. Do we know what the ratio for LK is? No, we do not. So then we have to start over there. Now, do we know what side KL is in proportion to? Yes, it is in proportion to NM. I think we've already written that. It's 2y, but it's not that simple. Why is it not that simple? I'm going to show you exactly why. So KL, I'm just going to label KL as 2y since it's in proportion to NM. Just think about it, guys. If we were to write down CL side, which would be 23x, and if I were to go back and write down LK side, which is 2y, we literally have different variables, guys. That is never going to work. Okay, we need an answer. We need a ratio variable that has the exact same variable. So it either has to be both x or both y. So what do? This is where you're going to start using equations. Okay, this is where it gets a bit different, but I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to navigate through this, right? So we have 23x over 2y. Now we just need to manipulate this in such a way that we can change these two numbers to have the exact same variable, right? But now let's start off with the other side of the triangle. Okay, why are we doing that? Because we know that KL and LC they're literally a part of the same triangle, AM and MC. So let's look at AM and MC. Do we know what AM over MC's ratio is? Yes, we do. The reason why we're going to start with AM over MC is because AM and MC, they are literally a part of the exact same triangle that KL and LC are a part of. So we just want to quickly write down that ratio. AM over MC equals to 10x over 23x. Remember, guys, we've already labeled that. Now what do? This is so important to remember. Remember, in the previous question, we already found out that AM was also equal to 5y. Okay, from the previous question, we said that AM is also equal to 5y. Remember, AM is equal to 5y. This is going to help us. This is going to help us write down an equation for ourselves, to figure out an equation for ourselves, right? So what does that mean? What are we going to do with this information? We're going to literally formulate an equation for ourselves. Why is that? Because AM has two different answers, two different ratios that have different variables, and it's going to help us form a little equation, okay? So what you're going to do is, you're therefore going to say AM equals to 5y from what we gathered back in the previous question, but it also equals to 10x, okay? So AM equals to 5y, but it also equals to 10x. So that means 5y will equal to 10x because AM equals to both 5y and 10x. So we're going to take the 5 and divide it by the 10x, giving us 2x. So we're going to be left with y equals to 2x. So now we definitely can work with this, guys. We have y equals to 2x. And remember, what we needed to find a way to change one of the variables so they can have the exact same letter variable next to them. So we know that KL is 2y. However, if we could somehow change the y to an x, we're going to have our final answer, okay? So we know that 2y equals to LK, and we already have an equation that y equals to 2x. So what you want to do is you want to replace the y with 2x. You want to substitute the 2x in the place of y, since we've already formulated an equation that says y equals to 2x, right? We're going to substitute that in. You multiply by 2x is 4x. And just like that, and just that easy that you're able to find out that LK is equal to 4x. So that will be your final answer. Please don't forget your reasons, guys. After that, you have to first state that LC over KL equals to MC over NM, just like I said previously. Remember, guys, I already told you guys this previously. LC over KL equals to MC over AM, right? But now in this case, we've already said that 23x over 23y. That's something I already written down for you. X, since they said y equals 2x, giving us 4x. The x's cancel out, giving us 23 over 4. Okay. Please remember to go back over this question again and again. Memorize the exact method that I've shown you in this question, because these questions do come up pretty often. Please remember to go over your rules, line parallel to one side of the triangle, your plot theorem. And also, guys, I do have a group of students that I'm helping to prepare for their final exams. So if you'd like to join, then be sure to comment down below. But as for now, I'll see you in the next video.